So Tampa Bay comes in at 7-6. Minnesota just a game behind at 6-6. Offensively, they're 18th in total offense, 362.8 yards per game. They're 14th in yards per play at 5.7. 10th in passing yards at 266. Fourth in sacks allowed at 16. And they're third in sack percentage at 3.3%. They are 27th in rushing yards, however, at 96.3. 20th in yards per carry at 4.2. And they are also 29th in attempts per game at 23.1. So we're not really getting many rushing attempts from the Buccaneers. They are 13th in third down percentage, 43%, 6th in red zone, 71.1%, and 6th in points per game at 28.7. Defensively, also pretty strong for the most part. 7th in total defense at 329.9, 7th in yards per play allowed at 5.2, 22nd in passing yards at 255.8, 10th in sack percentage at 6.9%, but 4th in pressure percentage at 25.6%. They're first in rushing yards allowed at 74.2, second in yards per carry allowed at 3.3. However, 32nd in attempts per game ran against them, 22.6. 16th in third down percentage at 41.7%, 19th in red zone, 63.2%, and 11th in points per game allowed at 23.3. Now, their injury report, they only had one player with an injury designation in Jamel Dean. He's a corner. He's doubtful with a groin. Now, one I do want to keep an eye on is on Friday, Jason Pierre-Paul didn't practice after not being on the injury report the other 2 days. And his injury is a knee, so no injury designation, but something to watch. Minnesota, they are 4th in total offense at 389.8 yards per game. They are 3rd in yards per play at 6.3. 16th in passing yards right now at 244.2. 17th in sacks allowed, 25. And 22nd in sack percentage at 6.4%. They are 6th in rushing yards at 145.7. They're 5th in yards per carry at 4.9. And 7th in attempts per game at 29.9. 10th in third down percentage at 43.6%. 3rd in red zone at 75%. And they are 12th in points per game at 26.6. Defensively, it's improving, I think. Overall here, 23rd total defense at 382.7. 23rd in yards per play at 5.8, 27th in passing yards at 261.7, 25th in sack percentage at 4.6, and only 26th in pressure percentage at 19.5%. They are 19th in rushing yards allowed at 121, 15th in yards per carry allowed at 4.3, and 10th in attempts per game at 28.1. 6th in third down percentage at 36.4, 3rd in red zone 51.2%, and 26th in points per game allowed at 27.4. Now their injury report, a little worse than the Buccaneers. So Eric Kendricks is out. Alexander Madison out with the appendix thing going on. And then Rudolph is doubtful with a foot. And you have Irv Smith questionable with a back injury. So hopefully he's back. And they signed Henches from the Colts practice squad. And you still got Conklin. So hopefully they'll have their full set of tight ends with those. Now, to real thoughts. So, offensively, don't just run Dalvin Cook into the brick wall, please. That's kind of what this is. Just don't do this game. You have to mix it up, or else this will be a long day. That's a really good rush defense over there. I believe they were 2nd or 3rd last year as well. So I'm in the belief that rush defense is just good, and don't just be doing that. And quick passing game is probably how you're going to have to move the ball this game. Or moving the launch point for Kirk Cousins, because we all know Kirk doesn't often move the launch point by himself. He's not the most agile guy back there. Neither is Brady on their side, but we'll get there. And you have to keep it on schedule. You have to limit those 2nd and 3rd downs. They're 8 or more yards, because if you don't, it's going to, once again, be a long day. That pressure comes really, really quickly, and that's a problem. That limits the downfield things, which is why I'm thinking quick passing, all these things. and you will not recover from turnovers this week. Tampa Bay is +4, Minnesota's -4 on the year, and they've made mistakes that against better teams they would not be able to recover from. Like, last week, that pick six to open the second half, that's difficult to recover from in this game. Those two forced fumbles that ended up being scores in the Carolina game, that's not going to fly here. And I know numbers are skewed on Tampa's secondary. I think that secondary is better than the 22nd ranked pass defense. But to win here, Minnesota kind of has to let their quarterback do quarterback things. They must put the ball into Kirk Cousins' hands in order to win this football game. Something I don't really know if they'll actually do. And the reason why I say that is they do have Devin White and Levante David. Those are very fast linebackers. It's going to be hard to beat them to the point with these wide zones, getting linemen to the second level to get them, whether that be on the screens or in the zone run game. So you're probably going to be asked your quarterback to actually do some quarterback things. Crazy, right? Defensively, you have to pressure Brady, and I would expect a ton of blitzes because Minnesota, like we've already stated, doesn't really get much pressure on the quarterback. And Tom Brady is only the 27th most pressured quarterback in the league at 16.8%. So I'm expecting a ton of blitzes, whether that be through the A-gaps or with Harrison Smith or whatever. There's going to be a ton of them. And it's going to be a rough test for the young secondary, but I think it could be vital to the development just because, it's hard to find a 3-receiver group that's as talented as Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, and Chris Godwin. So this could be very vital to the development once it's said and done and they can rewatch and see what went wrong or what went right, whatever it may be. I think that could be potentially vital to development. So might be rough, but at the same time, I think it would be a good rough, if that makes sense. And they, like I said before, they don't really attempt to run, so don't be afraid to sell out for the pass, and you have to generate turnovers, which means you have to play more aggressive. Because, if you don't generate turnovers in this game, I'm not sure Minnesota even has a chance to win the football game. And special teams. Don't always talk about special teams in this segment, but just don't suck this week. That's all I ask. All I want you to do is just don't be the number one reason why they lose. I don't want to come out here in the post-game video and come out saying, well, they lost by 2 and we missed 4 field goals. I don't want to be talking about that. I don't want to be talking about missed kicks, muffed punts, blocked punts, kickoff return for touchdowns. All these sorts of fun things that come around. I don't even want to be able to notice you. I'm not asking you to do anything special. You don't need to be blocking punts or scoring touchdowns on punt returns or kickoff returns. But I just need you to not mess up the game. That's all I ask. My prediction, I have no faith this game. I have them 27-10. It's hard for me to see because despite having the highly paid quarterback and wide receiver in Cousins and Thielen, and then you can add in, hey, you also have a first-round pick in Jefferson, they just don't let Kirk and the receivers ever decide the fate of a football game. And I think that was very clear last week even, because with the overtime, they had opportunities maybe to throw the football, and what do we see, 6, 7, 8 straight runs of Dalvin Cook in the red zone, where you probably could have thrown the football, maybe won the game. They just don't do these things, and not only that, but just the way teams have stifled this offense lately is with a bunch of blitzes. Todd Bowles likes to blitz a lot. It's kind of his thing. And typically, what that will do here is when they stack the box, blitz those safeties, there's nowhere for Dalvin to run the ball. And typically, they're under center. So by the time Kirk is hitting the top of his drop, hitch back, throw, those things, he's getting smacked. And he has no time to survey the field. So I think that's a problem, and I'm not really. And there are ways to correct that, but I just don't believe they'll do it. I really don't. I think they're kind of stuck in their ways on this, and it's just kind of odd because you have so much invested into those groups. You would think eventually they would let them do it, but they just don't. And I'm just thinking Cook will meet that brick wall a lot, and I'm really not sure how much pressure they'll get on Tom. And I really do think Evans, Godwin, and Brown will probably torch this secondary, and I'm not thinking it will be good. But like I said, I think this could be one of the best learning experience games of their young careers. So I'm kind of hoping that even if it is horrendous, it's a good teaching moment to actually improve. And I will say this. Since this is a game that I have little faith in, this is usually where the on-brand Viking stuff comes in. Because usually how I work is I have little or no faith. They come out and they win the game somehow. So there is that. And, they can just suck people back in with all the faith. That's what they do. It's like a Geico commercial. So it's like it's what you do. And I would like to know your guys' opinions down below. Thoughts, all that good stuff. Like and subscribing. Super helpful. And until next time, I bid you all adieu.